How's it going, you guys? So this is really just going to be an update video. This is going to be me kind of just being open and vulnerable and talking a little bit. Simply because, first of all, I've been feeling kind of down the last couple days. Probably because of my supplement stack that I mentioned in previous videos, which I'll talk about here in a bit. Also, probably because of a wide variety of other things that have been going on in my life. So with the low feelings and low vibes, always comes reflection. Because for me, over the years, I've recognized, feelings of sadness and depression are actually a really good thing, provided they're not coming from deficiencies in your diet or something, because then there's really no life circumstance that would be causing them, but more so a dietary issue that, as long as you don't take care of the root cause, the depression will never go away. But for me, whenever I feel low or I feel depressive type symptoms, it's because there's some aspect of my life that I'm not looking at, that I'm not reflecting on, and is kind of in the background causing me these feelings, but I'm not fully consciously aware of whatever the cause is, because my conscious mind is so focused on whatever else it might be that's distracting me from what's causing these feelings. So, and anytime I talk about feeling down or feeling a little depressed or something, I always get comments that make me cringe, which, by the way, I appreciate your care, I suppose. It's good that there's people who have empathy, I suppose. But for me, it's, I don't even know how to explain how I feel about it, but I guess it's kind of alarming that when that there's so many people who see, a temporary bout of depression as this extremely pathological thing. That requires cuddling and coddling or whatever, and comments of sympathy or something. The reason why it's alarming to me is because there's so much growth and so much benefit involved in having feelings of depression and then reflecting on them. And so, kind of long-winded here in my introduction, but this is actually kind of like an example. This is actually an interesting thing. So, essentially, here's what I want to get out in this video is that, I've been on YouTube now for almost 10 years. So this YouTube channel's been online since I think 2013 is when I opened it. And I opened this channel originally because I was going through an identity crisis and a existential crisis, because I realized that there was a lot more to the world and to life, and there's a lot more different ways of approaching your perspective, and there's many different perspectives on life that you can have or whatever, and my mind was blown completely open. And so I started this YouTube channel to start to talk about my different ideas and my different experiences and experiments, because at the time I was really invested in self-help. I had not yet deeply studied nutrition and things like that, and I was just beginning to get into all of that stuff. So anyway, I started this YouTube channel back then in 2013. And that's interesting because it's now 2021, almost 2022. And I never really looked back and realized how long I've been on here. But over this time, I've talked about a lot of different subjects. And again, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. But basically, right now, probably the reason why I'm feeling a little down, there's a couple of reasons. The first one is college. I should be starting college again, going back to college, starting in January of the next year. but I'm like waiting on financial aid to see if I still qualify due to like previous run-ins with college where I had issues and had to withdraw myself from classes and stuff like that. That might affect my eligibility. So I'm going to be seeing, and hopefully if I do get financial aid, that'll make a lot of things much easier and lift a huge cloud of ambiguity off my shoulders, I guess. On top of that, there's some other things that I can't really talk about right now, but basically there's a lot of huge changes that I seem to need to be making here soon, and I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to play out. And I don't really need to know how it's going to play out, but I guess it's all kind of hitting me hard right now. But I think, and then also I think that there's a lot of different things in my life that have been in the background for a long time, but I've kind of just not been tending to them, and I've kind of just let them kind of go. I think my YouTube channel is one of those things, because, you know, around 2020, just, I don't know what it is, but like I kind of like lost my flame. I wouldn't say I lost my desire to make videos and stuff. I think it's just that there was so much shit that started happening in my life in 2020 that what is that noise? There's so much stuff that happened in 2020 that I kind of just completely lost my groove. And I think probably a big part of it was, for one, I was experimenting with Reishi and Ashwagandha, which made me feel heavily depressed a lot of the time. But I don't even know if it was that. I also, in a complicated way, had my heart broken. But the breaking of my heart was largely due to my own doing, as weird as that all of that stuff really is. And I don't in the slightest bit want to go into detail on all of that, just because of how complicated it is and how personal it is and the people involved. But essentially, I was dealing with a lot of heartbreak through 2020, and to make that even worse, I was following bad advice where people were telling me not to talk about it, to pretend that everything was okay, you know, which provided on paper my life was great, but clearly I was not feeling okay. And just a little bit on that, if you feel heartbroken, or if there's a person that you really care about, don't pretend that you don't care about them. That's the worst mistake you can ever make. Without me starting to break out into tears. So that's the worst, and you know, holding back those tears was really hard. But essentially, there's a lot of stuff that I was dealing with in 2020, and obviously everybody was dealing with a lot of stuff in 2020. And not only do we have complete lives just being destroyed through lack of employment, through, you know, the restrictions in society, and then people dying from the disease going around that I don't want to get shadow banned for mentioning in the video. But then on top of that, the shadow banning that was going on, and the corporate people or whatever it is, you know, the weird agendas and the conspiracies going around, and then even worse, you have family members that don't agree with you. And then if you strongly believe in conspiracies or whatever you want to call it, if you have a disagreeing opinion, no matter what you believe in, it tears your connection with your family. And it's like, in trying times like that, the most important thing is having connections with the people you care about. And unfortunately, those are the very times these days where tribalism gets in the way. So anyway, what I'm going with, I mean, that, you know, that's a whole huge topic to unpack. And then you can't really talk about all this stuff on social media, or, you know, for one, if you're an average person with a Facebook account with average acquaintances and things, because then everyone's going to judge you and argue with you and stuff, and you're just going to burn more bridges, which is very mentally traumatizing to think about how to even approach that situation. Like, especially if you just want to discuss your opinions, or I don't know. But then if you're like me and have like a YouTube account with followers that see me as, someone with a respectable opinion, I suppose, or whatever it is, and I make a video, I could possibly get thrown off YouTube or something if I talk. So, and then everyone's talking about that situation at that moment in 2020. And it's like, you're scared to join the fun because, number one, a lot of your subscribers might leave you, which you shouldn't be too worried about, but, because maybe there's strong opinions and they disagree with you. But then the other thing is, you'll get banned from YouTube, which is just ridiculous. And that is like a huge problem. I have had a lot of good friends that were running long-time health and alternative medicine YouTube channels, or whatever it is, and they just stopped making YouTube videos in 2020. I don't know about you all, whoever might be watching this right now, but there was a lot of people who just stopped watching alternative health and alternative medicine, or who stopped making videos. There's a lot of gurus and authorities who just literally flew off the face of the earth in 2020. I think a lot of that is because they allowed the talk about getting banned from YouTube going around, dissuade them. Like, oh shoot, if I talk about alternative health practices, I can get thrown off YouTube. So they just were scared and they just stopped, And I don't want to name names, but there are a lot of them. Most of them are so alternative and underground that they weren't really that popular. And it's kind of sad because those people had some really good information, even though I might not agree with everything they say. But anyway, so the point is, I lost my fire for a long time. A lot of my video, and lost my fire doesn't mean like, lost my aspirations to make YouTube videos. That's the thing. I've always wanted to make videos, and I have plenty of videos through the last couple of years that I've recorded but just not posted. And so I'd make videos sometimes. And the other thing is, I ran into the carnivore diet, and it completely changed the way I view everything. I don't like the way I view nutrition. I don't, and it's part of it's kind of sad because nutrition was a lot more exciting when I believed that all of these plant foods were like super magical. Which, by the way, I'm on the other side, and I'm like, well, you know what? Actually, a lot of these plant foods are magical, but just not, every single food that has polyphenols is not necessarily good for you per se. Anyway, or whatever. Like I guess I have a very rational view of nutrition science now, so it's not the magical thing that it used to be. And actually, I'm actually into nutrition science after the carnivore diet. Whereas before, I was more into these mystical ideas that are based on mechanistic studies and correlation data. But, I no longer view probiotics, as, well, I don't want to get too deep into that. But, then it was like, well, shit, now what do I make YouTube videos about? Well, the most profound thing that I figured out in the whole entire century was that, essential nutrients may not be that essential. The only reason why people think all these things are essential is because of refined food diets or whatever. It's like, whoa, blew my mind right open. So I'm like, well, fuck. All my videos about multivitamins are kind of flawed now. All my videos about B vitamins and, who knows what else, like, serotonin and dopamine and, I was going through this crazy identity shift. And so a lot of people who've been following me for a long time probably, they probably remember in 2020 when I put all of my old videos on private. There's a lot of reasons why I did that. The first one is, again, because my entire view of nutrition completely changed, and I realized a lot of my videos are probably not entirely accurate, or else they're missing a lot of things, or they might be outright wrong. And I'm like, well, fuck, I have a lot of videos, and in all those videos, I'm not just like straight point A to point B. I might have a video about calcium, but there's so many different factors involved in calcium that I bring up, things about eating meat or something that completely like affects every other idea I might have said in other videos. So I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I got to just completely like remake all of these videos with my updated mentality, with all the updated insights that I have. So I did that, and then a lot of my new subscriber reach was completely shut down. I stopped making my frequent money checks on YouTube, which I didn't really mind because I don't make videos for money necessarily. But my entire channel exposure went down completely when I did that. I used to get like 50 to 100 new subscribers every month, minimum. But then after I did that, I started getting negative subscribers and stuff, which was crazy. Which you shouldn't fixate too much on. And of course, I got a bunch of messages from people telling me that I needed to. That they missed my old videos and they had playlists that they'd listen to while they went on walks, and I was like, wow, I'm helping a lot of people clearly, and these people value my old videos, and I value my old videos. I have an emotional attachment to my older videos, which, by the way, that's another profound thing, is positive thinking is not necessarily always beneficial, especially if you're covering up your feelings and things. A lot of times that can actually cause more problems and keep you farther from positive manifestation. And that's actually a profound thing that a lot of people in law of attraction get wrong, and maybe I've preached wrongfully before. But actually want to let go of resistance, and that's actually, I think, a key factor that people are missing. They're building up all this resistance, trying to pretend to be happy when they're not. Or like I just said, I have an emotional attachment to my old videos. A positive thinking person, positive thinking version would be like, oh no, I'll just make new, better videos and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, maybe the manifestation that you want lies around the other corner with those old videos involved. But let's stay on track if we can. The thing is, my ideas are very dynamic. There's a lot of different topics that I like to discuss. And I recognize that, since I started getting on the keto diet and all that other stuff, my ideas have been very one-dimensional. And most very popular YouTubers, I'm overgeneralizing, but a lot of them I felt at the time, they were very one-track minded. Like they just talked about lifting and fitness, or they just talked about nutrition and health, or they just talked about meat. And a big part of me was completely focused on nothing but, the keto diet and maybe lifting or martial arts or something. And that has become a dominant part of my life, way more than before. I'm not reading up on nutrition science as obsessively as I used to, mostly because I've solved all my problems and I no longer feel a desire to try to figure things out, because I feel like I've already figured things out at least enough for me to live my life completely optimally. Not to say I know everything, but there's how much do you need to know about nutrition science before you are satisfied? And then that was when I also started to realize, at the end of 2020 and long before that as well, how many people are just spinning their wheels, listening and not even actually reading facts and reading evidence and interpreting things in a way that lets them formulate a more accurate opinion. But how many people are watching YouTube videos of gurus and health people and all this stuff for years too, and they're just obsessed about it, and they're always acquiring new information, but not new facts, new opinions from other experts who are just saying their own weird approach to things that is usually tied to selling you a supplement or something. And I realize most people don't get healthy because, number one, they're addicted to health information, and number two, they're not actually solving their problems, usually because they have the wrong approach to seeking information, and they have the wrong approach to processing and synthesizing this information, but also the people that are getting their information wrong in general are not preaching good ideas. And it's like, you got to kind of ask yourself, if you've been like trying to be healthy for like 10 years and you're still not healthy, like, what exactly is the problem here? And a lot of people might just be like, well, I have really complicated health problems and it's just going to take some time and I'm just broken and, I spent 50 years being sick. But no, I had this approach too until I fixed things, and most people do, but generally it's just maybe you're looking at these problems in the wrong way, or maybe you're just looking in the wrong place, or maybe you're just looking too much and you need to stop looking. Maybe you need to stop looking altogether for a while. Take a break from trying to figure things out, and provided it depends on your health problem. A lot of people are so sick they can't take a break. So I don't remember where I was going with that, but basically I was like, well, damn, people spend too much time overcomplicating all of this stuff. And that kind of makes me want to cry a little bit, because I'm like, well, fuck. Because then it's like people would ask me these questions, and I get a lot of messages from people who are experiencing very real health problems, and they'll ask me about, what do I think about modified protein sparing fasting or whatever? What do I think about these like complicated probiotic supplements? What is, vitamin E divided by 3,000 E squared to the most common denominator? And, or like, let's see, or they'll be like, how can I optimize my testosterone, or something like that? And that's a good question, actually. How can I optimize my testosterone, or how can I fix my testosterone, or whatever? I crashed my hormones, blah blah blah. And I'll ask them, well, can you send me your numbers from your most recent hormone panel, your most recent testosterone panel? And then they'll say, oh, actually, I've never gotten my testosterone tested. And it's like, and of course they know what I'm going to say, and they know at that point, like, oh, it's kind of stupid. But it's like, and I don't say these things to hurt people or to, be condescending, even though I kind of feel that way sometimes. But the problem with this is people are looking in the wrong places, and they're taking the wrong approach, and they're asking the wrong questions, like, how do I fix my hormones? I think I crashed my testosterone. And they haven't even gotten blood work, so they don't even know if their testosterone's crashed. You may not have hormone problems, but you don't know it because you haven't tested it. But you're willing to spend all this money on testosterone supplements. You're willing to spend a whole couple years of your life watching podcasts about testosterone and all this stuff, and you don't even have a test for it. And this was a problem that I had when I was sick. And I didn't find the answers to my problem until I experimented with veganism, for example, and I saw with my own eyes I was shitting out plant foods, and I put two and two together, removed the plant foods, even though at the time I was overcomplicating things. I thought I needed all these plant foods. Didn't realize I could survive without them. And sure enough, all my symptoms went away just by trying some basic stuff out and then seeing it with my own eyes. Of course, at the time I couldn't believe it, didn't know what was going on, so I can understand. But I didn't get there but before that I would be just like these people, like, oh, I think I have candida. That's another one. I think I have candida. And I'd be watching hours of videos for months on end. I wouldn't even sleep. I'd be staying up like a crack addict, like, oh shit, like, how do I get rid of candida? And it's like, Meanwhile, you don't even have candida, you know? And then, you know, people will be like, well, I did the test. I spit in a cup and I saw the bacteria, the fungus disperse outward, and that's a common test when you have candida. So, it's like, bro, that's not a good, that you don't know if you have candida. That's not like a tangible, accurate test based on facts. You know, whatever. Maybe it is, right? But then what are you going to do from there? You go and you try a candida diet out. Maybe you take some detox supplements or whatever the hell. And if they work, then boom, you're good. But if they don't work, this is the problem. Shit doesn't work for people. And they're like, well, I fucking did the spit test, so I have candida. So maybe I just need to read more about freaking candida and find the new supplement in the cleanse. And it's like, you know, how long are they going to spend before they finally just realize, well, maybe I didn't have candida, right? So, where I'm going with this conversation is that I realize the extremely, this is a really problematic obsession and really just a flaw in someone's approach to solving their health problems. And, of course, it's hard to rely on doctors because we know that oftentimes doesn't work, unfortunately. And I found in my health consulting business that a lot of holistic practitioners and naturopaths also kind of overcomplicate things just to sell supplements, and they generally don't have answers either, and people are just like feeling hopeless. They're like, where do I go? And I saw how common it is for the actual patient or the actual person themselves to overcomplicate things and to be freaking out and in this state of like, I guess not really, but existential anxiety surrounding health problems. I don't know if that's an accurate way to, you know, existential anxiety, but it's, I guess so, whatever. They're just so deep and over philosophizing it, and they're like in a state of like extreme stress. So it was kind of discouraging, I suppose, because then I'm like, well, fuck, all I'm going to be doing is making very simple videos where I tell people, you probably don't need multivitamins. Unless you have an actual deficiency in vitamin or mineral, you probably don't need it. I can no longer be like, hey, vitamin B12 is like this magical fucking thing, and you know, like most freaking nootropic people and all these other authorities do. They're like, oh, hyping up all this stuff. But I'm like bringing this like kind of boring, plain Jane explanation now. It doesn't really excite people into making positive changes, and it kind of depresses me a little bit. And you know, the thing is what people need to hear. People don't need to hear, fucking B vitamin complex saved my life and all this crap. People don't need to hear like, if you know how to, you know, the benefits of probiotic supplements, and none of it's backed by evidence and usually doesn't work for people. So now I'm making videos like, oh, the pseudoscience of freaking probiotics. And people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that these supplements that are so fascinating to them might actually not really do much for people. And provided I might be wrong on a lot of these things. And that's actually a fundamental part of my own approach, is that I'm never certain that what I'm saying is correct. I'm always skeptical about my own beliefs, and that's always been terrifying to me. I'm so skeptical about everything that I don't even fully believe in a lot of stuff that I do, which is again why I'm so basic now with my things. I'm like, bro, just get adequate protein. 1 gram per pound of body weight is a safe bet, and if it's from whole animal sources, and I feel like I have enough reality-based evidence to support this, then you should be just fine on the nutrient end. You shouldn't need to worry about, am I giving enough B6 or this or that, just because of just how many people can survive on just meat alone. And that's a whole other deep rabbit hole to get into. And if people don't believe me, they just don't want to believe me, and nothing I can really say about it. And I might be wrong, I guess. But I'm real basic now, because there's only there's only a very small few things that are extremely important. And the biggest thing is that It's the basics that people don't do, and this is what I realize now. And I've been a personal trainer for years, but it wasn't until I started working at a commercial gym in 2020, because I'm dealing with a lot more average population clients. Most of my clients, as I was training independently and whatnot, they're already a fan of my stuff and already knew the basics, and they already had that on point. But working at a commercial gym like I have been, I'm seeing the most common reason why people are overweight, or why they're not gaining muscle, depending on their goals, or why they have health problems, is because the most fundamental basics that are preached in the mainstream, people aren't doing. And I started to see that people have this like fixation on these crazy complicated things, and like, oh my god, gotta get probiotics and polyphenols, and like gotta optimize my testosterone levels without even getting tested. I might have candida. I might have a freaking vitamin B19 deficiency. And it's like, okay, let's see. First of all, what does your diet look like exactly? Like, I eat healthy, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, that can mean so many different things. What exactly are you doing? People don't even know what they're doing, and they're so in the unknown. Like they don't know. Like they're so in the lack of knowledge that they don't even realize how important it is to be specific about what you're eating. Like, oh, I eat healthy, blah, blah, blah. Like, that is red flag right there. That's the first problem, is you think that there's just this universal idea of healthy, when the word healthy doesn't mean jack shit, honestly. Anyway, people are not eating enough protein. People are not, they're eating foods that they're intolerant to. They're obviously not getting enough sleep or whatever. And their ideas about sleep are preventing them from living their life normally on low sleep, because they think they're going to develop cancer if they lack an hour of sleep every now and then. And then they don't have, and then when people have sleep problems, they're like, oh, I take melatonin and I need all these supplements, and then I'm like, well, okay, so first of all, have you tried blackout blinds? How dark is your room? Have you tried getting your air conditioning down to 66 degrees or something? Have you tried earmuffs? And they're like, no, I've not tried any of that. I'm like, well, have you tried waking up at a consistent time every single day? Like the very, very basics. And they're like, no, I've tried that, or I can't do that, or, it's like, they're better just take a supplement. People are convinced that all the basics are bullshit. And they're like chasing after these crazy ideas and things. And again, working in a commercial gym, even if, like you could coach someone over and over again every single day, bro, you just need to eat enough protein. People for some reason think that, like, the thing is, I don't know what it is. They're like, oh, it's, I'm trying, but it's just like really, really hard. And it's like, really, it's not that hard to keep a can of tuna, or, provided on this channel, people probably know there's concerns about aluminum and whatever, but the point is, even the basic muscle gain client who's just skinny and needs to eat a little bit more, they can't just bring protein foods with them, or go to freaking Whataburger and just get meat patties a la carte or whatever. Or even if the ones where they just need to eat a lot more and they don't care about health, and I might tell them, bro, just make sure you get enough protein in each meal, and eat as much as you want of whatever you want, provided it has enough protein. Hamburgers with the fries and the sodas, which again, I don't advocate, but some people just are so far in the beginner hole that they, not even like the healthy shit matters for them, because they're so underweight. And it's so freaking hard. So I'm realizing how hard it is for the average person to even get the most basic of basics down for their fundamental beginnings of becoming optimally healthy. It's insane. And if that's the case in so many people, me making videos and stuff, trying to tell people how really complicated health problems to just get the basics down. I don't even know how to explain it. It's driven me insane. It's been driving me insane is probably it. And one more thing on this is I realize it's not these people's, I don't even know how to say this next statement. I would say on one side of things, you want to kind of say it's not their fault, or maybe, I mean, obviously it is, like, because if you just choose to eat the protein, if you just choose to like get the basics down, and then maybe add some tonic herbs, add some vitamin C, add some magnesium before bed, maybe try some zinc, blah blah blah. But like these people seem to have like some real deep-rooted issues of some kind. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what it is exactly. I've tried so hard, but in the end, it doesn't matter a lot of times. To quote Chester Bennington, like it's crazy how hard you can try. Someone's paying me; they're paying me a couple $100 a month to get them the results they want. Some people just fall off the face of the earth. They'll be paying for training for an entire year, hundreds of dollars a month. And they won't even come to training, or they'll schedule training, and I'll ask them the day before, hey, you still down to come tomorrow at whatever time? I'm like, yeah, I'm down, definitely, let's do it. And then they'll ghost me, they'll no-show me, they won't call me back or anything like that, they won't reply to my texts. I'm there waiting for them at the gym. I'm like, what the hell? And they will never even explain it. And I'm like, what the hell? And then maybe I'll get them to come in a couple weeks later and, maybe ask them about it. And it's like, and this is actually not that common, but this happens sometimes. And so I just don't understand how people can have so much trouble, like, obtaining the health that they, like, just implementing these basic things. So, honestly, most people watching my videos, probably they're so interested and invested in all this stuff that they're not these people I'm talking about. Maybe I'm overblowing it in my mind. Maybe it seems a lot worse than it really is in my mind. I think that might be true. And I think the population of people that I'm kind of thinking about, they're not the majority. They're a very small minority, but they exist. And I don't know how to explain why they have these issues, and I think maybe it's life issues. Maybe they just don't want it enough, or they don't. And I feel like everyone should want this health, but then again, I'm talking because I'm already on this side of the fence. I just don't know how to explain it, other than they probably have some deep-rooted issues that maybe some people need professional help, like maybe they need psychologists, and I don't know if maybe, some people may just not want it. Maybe I'm kind of narcissistic, I suppose, even though, again, I think narcissism is something that a true narcissist couldn't entertain the possibility that they're a narcissist, and I oftentimes wonder if I am. Most of my clients and most of the professionals in my life, they often tell me that I'm not a narcissist, and if I was, it would be very obvious, but I do wonder that sometimes. So anyway, again, I appreciate anyone who's watching all these videos, or watching all the way up to here. I don't know where I was going with all that. This is kind of like just a lot of the stuff that's been on my mind, and just like, I don't know how to sort it all out. And then why do I need to sort this all out? I suppose just because it bothers me, maybe. Why does it bother me? Well, maybe it's because I've been dealing with this as a personal trainer for a while, and then I've been on YouTube, and it's like it's just this thing where, it's just incredible to me. But again, I think that it's a very small minority of people. And also, This is the first time I've been able to actually just talk about it. This is one of the things this is one of the reasons why I started making YouTube videos and to begin with, is because I'm able to just kind of freely express my opinions, and there are people out there that will watch this video and be able to resonate. And, I actually have a therapist, by the way, like a PhD psychologist who I've been seeing since like 2012, even though I'm not like, mentally ill or something like that, but which is another interesting story to go down and talk about some other time. But I think I've tried talking to him. I've tried talking about this. We still haven't. He's been so busy lately, but I haven't been able to talk to anyone about all of this stuff. I should probably really press the subject next time I go. But we have other things I'm talking about, like getting me just, keep moving me forward is usually what we talk about. He's more like a life coach almost, but this is something I really need to talk to him about. For some reason it bothers me a lot. I think it's just because I really care about people. I want people to improve. I want people to get better, to get healthier. But seeing a lot of this stuff makes me wonder how, it's just some people are not able to make that jump. They're just not able to be helped. But I think the big issue, again, I haven't been able to talk about this with people, so maybe I haven't really, been able to reflect as deeply on it as now. I'm starting to hear myself talk, and I realize this may not be as big of an issue as I was thinking, because it's not like every single person. So I should probably sit down and write a list of people that I've helped, that have actually followed my suggestions and some of the results they've gotten with it, and then a list of people who haven't. And I think what I'll realize is there's some people that don't make the jump, but it's a very small minority. So I'm exaggerating the amount of people that are participating in this type of nonsense. Being on the internet can be hard because you see a lot of the worst of humanity on the internet, depending on where you look. If you spend too much time in certain comment sections, you'll see a lot of ugliness, and then it'll kind of give your brain this, it'll kind of mold your filter, even though you don't mean it to, in a way that makes you see the whole world through the lens of those select people. I have to make another video talking specifically about that, because through the 2020, when all that stuff was going down, I would constantly see just people who had these crazy extremist ideas, and I'd go out in the world and assume everybody's extremist. And I think everyone's like a sheep or whatever it is, because I've been spending too much time on the fucking internet. And that's a problem. But it's not the reality. So, anyway. So here's another thing. Making YouTube videos has been hard because I love to just go on these long kind of talks like I'm doing now, and kind of just think out loud and just kind of spill my thoughts into the ether realm. And I don't want my subscribers to, be repelled because I'm making these long videos and I'm rambling, so to speak. And let's just say that in my childhood there were certain people who were very close to me who would always I guess rant at me for rambling. And so it made me, anytime I talk too long, even if it's making sense, even if it has value, I have this underlying negative feelings about myself. Oh, I'm going crazy, or I'm not making sense, I'm rambling. Of course, now as an adult, I recognize that person, even though they were an authority, someone I respected and loved and saw as an adult as well, they may not actually be, they may not be someone you want to actually trust as far as communication and stuff is concerned. But I still have that sometimes. And so even though I know I have a lot of people who are interested in my ideas and opinions. I think this is actually a huge thing, and I'm just now realizing it because I'm able to finally talk about it, because I'm just like, fuck it, today I'm just gonna fucking talk out loud to a camera. This has destroyed some of my relationships. I've had, a really good relationship with a really awesome person, and I was so brainwashed to think that, my ideas and stuff are rambling, or they don't make sense and stuff, that I just always assumed that she was just pretending to listen or whatever. It's really dumb, actually. It's my insecurity, I realize now. Again, the benefit of reflecting on your sad feelings. But making videos on YouTube, sometimes I get that same feeling, because I can go on and on and on about a topic, because what the fuck, I'm talking to a camera, and at the point, and then I'm like, oh, I'm rambling, and I'm not, it's a symptom of psychosis. It's a symptom of psychosis. So here's the thing. I have to stop myself from, thinking, oh, I'm mentally ill because I'm talking to a camera. I'm psychotic, everyone, as I'm talking to a camera. But then I'm like, wait a second. Look at all these amazing YouTubers who are valued by millions of people. They have thousands upon millions of subscribers, and they call it a podcast. Oh shit, what's a podcast? Just going on and on for an hour or two, talking about ideas. Sometimes you're having a conversation with someone else, or it's an interview or something, but there's a lot of people who do what I'm doing right now. And this is something that I love doing. It's therapeutic to myself, and there's a lot of people out there that might like to listen to these types of things, and maybe I can help them somehow. So I've had a lot of resistance as far as YouTube for a long time, because there's certain topics that I just feel like talking about. YouTube used to be my outlet for that. But I have a lot of subscribers now that watch my content, and I don't want to lose subscribers, because I don't want to make videos where I'm ranting or whatever, or where I say something that doesn't make sense, or if I make a video about rhodiola and it's not good enough, and it's what I mean is it doesn't make sense, or it's not, or there's points that I'm trying to make that I forget. I don't want to make a video about rhodiola and leave out some important shit that I could have made better, because then someone might Google search my name and they'll see my video, and their only impression of me ever is oh, this guy, he he got it wrong about rhodiola, so fuck this guy. Then every time they see my video suggested to them in the search engine or something now, they're gonna be like, oh, that's the guy who sucked at that rhodiola video. And or a lot of my videos where I'm walking with my cell phone, I don't pay attention to the angle, because I just want to get my information out there while I'm walking and stuff. But the thumbnail and the angle of the video the whole time is this really awkward angle of my teeth, basically. And I'm not really very self-conscious about my teeth, but if I talk about it enough, I could make myself that way, because I recognize that I can get everything I want in life without worrying about my teeth. As long as they're healthy, that's all that matters. I get punched in the face, so it chips my teeth. But point is, a lot of my thumbnails are that angle, and so I haven't bothered to change it on hundreds of videos, and so someone might see that might be their first impression, and it's my videos are not as good as they could have been if I put a little more effort into it, and so that creates this pressure for me where I want to make this video, but then after I make the video, I'm like, I didn't really convey that opinion as good as I could have. I just spent 20 minutes like talking way more than actually getting my points across very effectively. You know, so it's like, I'll just not post it, or I'll make a new video, try and make it better, and usually then I post that video, or I'll just delete the video and never worry about it, never post that video up. And so what happens is, I'll have a lot of inspiration that just pops up, and I'll make a video sometimes, but then it just never gets, the momentum never gets going, because I never post it because I feel like it could have been better. Why not make a better video later or something? And now I'm like, well, you know, maybe that's a reason why I haven't had as much momentum on YouTube, is because I'm always pressured to, like, you know, give the best impression possible to people. And when I say best impression, I'm just talking about my actual information being on point. You know, and a lot of this just has to be, it's different. It's not like, obviously, I've got to look a certain way to impress people. I've never been that way at all. And maybe I should put a better emphasis on presentation, but it's always been more like, I have, like, the whole thing is I have, like, this crazy library of information in my brain on all these different topics. And I want to, like, get all of the freaking information about the video subject from my library all into this one video, and I want it all to be perfect in a way that people can receive. It's like, that's a lot of fucking, like, that's a high standard. And even worse is that I never have an outline. Only, like, a couple dozen videos that I've ever put on YouTube had an outline, and they came out really, really awesome. But I just don't want to make YouTube, like, the process. I don't want to make the process so complicated that, again, it becomes an obstacle. And that's the thing. So I was talking about procrastination in a video yesterday, and how a lot of people, they put obstacles in their way that prevent them from taking action. So I realize now, I'm talking about all this stuff, that first of all, you know, needing to have a suit on, right? Because people will make comments, oh, why are you naked? Like, as if I intended to be, I'm doing this on purpose. Like, no, I want to make the process of making YouTube videos as simple as possible, so I can just keep providing information and don't really need a bunch of time or energy involved. You know, I want to make the process as easy as possible. But if I'm like, I need to, like, you know, I need to, you know, put makeup on and fucking have a tuxedo on every time I make a video, then it's going to be a lot harder for me to actually have the time to make a video and have the energy to make a video, considering all the other stuff I have. You know, like, I need to look perfect. You know, like, that's an obstacle now in the way of me having motivation to make videos. So I just don't do that. But now I'm recognizing, well, you know, having such a high standard of, like, always having my videos perfect is also an obstacle. And here's the most awesome thing of all. And this is actually amazing. And maybe I should make a shorter video in the future where I just talk about this. But this is actually kind of, like, relieving. I have all these people telling me, you need to make your video shorter, you know, 10-minute increments, whatever, and that would definitely get me super popular and in the millions pretty fast. That's a really good way to blow your stuff up. But, you know, people be like, you need to, like, you know, dress appropriately and maybe, you know, get your teeth fixed and get a better microphone or whatever. You know, the thing is, I'll let all this stuff fester in my brain, but then I never actually examined it. So here's an interesting thing. Let's see. Okay, presentation. Okay, you know, there's crazy people on YouTube with a good following, like that guy John Rose, and provided his, you know, his, in my opinion, his whole niche is crazy, but he's into like juicing and raw veganism or whatever, and I think that's just a bunch of nonsense and it gets people sick. But that guy just like, he's like shirtless and all this, doesn't have an outline, and just goes out in the forest and starts recording videos of him ranting about just crazy shit. You know, and people watch an hour of that guy ranting. He didn't do any preparatory work. He doesn't have like a special name for his YouTube channel, like I thought I needed. You know, he doesn't keep his videos in 10-minute increments. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of his videos are just completely ridiculous, but yet he has, like, he's successful. He has an audience and he's doing his thing. Part of that, though, is kind of scary, that some random guy can just go on a YouTube video with no, like, actual training and preach something like juice fasting, which can have some benefit, but it's not like the magic that he portrays it as. It doesn't work the way these people say it does. And people can die from these things, and that commonly do, mostly because they don't do them right or for the right purposes or whatever. Even though I don't advocate them no matter what. It's kind of alarming. But the point though isn't, you know, you have people like, you know, people who rose to prominence just, you know, like Elliot Holtz is another good example. Now, he's been on YouTube for a long time, and he's given a lot of great information, helped a lot of people, and he really didn't have that much credentials. Like, he was in the strongman competition and stuff, and he wasn't the greatest strongman, you know. Wasn't really like a super credentialed and, you know, profound authority, but he just started getting his stuff out there and helping people. Never had an outline, and he didn't really even like change his body or anything like that for the videos, and he would just do like cell phone videos for a long time. His videos are still pretty freaking raw, you know, and so, you know, people will watch hour-long podcasts or hour-long rants from a guy like John Rose. What about spherage, okay, in the carnivore community? Again, crazy information that, you know, a lot of it is just nonsense. And even amongst his followers who believe in some of his crazy ideas, he'll make videos that even them will be like, whoa, that's actually not good, and you should probably reflect on that. But all he's ever done, pull out a fucking cell phone, and of course he's always been dressed up pretty nice, I guess, in his videos, and he has like a decent camera, whatever he's using and stuff, and oftentimes would do some editing with music and stuff, but you know, his videos have always been pretty raw. So it's like, I don't really need to worry about fitting a mold of some kind. I don't need to worry about 10-minute increments or filtering my speeches. I don't really need to worry about wearing like the perfect clothes or something for my YouTube video. I shouldn't have to worry about having perfect information. Of course, I should make sure my information is good, you know, and solid, and, you know, make some sense and be coherent. But all the pressure that I put on myself, all of this, the things that I'm worried about, first of all, they didn't really help me to really worry about them. You know, making a video that wasn't good enough and then not posting it, I'm not really saving myself from anything. And then if I'm worried about losing subscribers, you know what? You know, what about just not making many videos at all? Then what's going to happen? Well, maybe I will lose subscribers anyway, or maybe I won't lose subscribers, but it won't matter because I'm not making videos. Doesn't matter how many subscribers you have, you don't fucking make videos. So, and the biggest thing is if I can watch my video and say, okay, that's pretty good. Which, again, that is actually why I kind of deem the video not good enough. But if I know that my information is good and I know that I have a good presentation and stuff like that, then that should be all that matters. So I hope, you know, and I have this anxiety back in my head where I'm like, oh, are people watching still? You know, like, damn, what, you know, making a long video like this is just like a waste of time. You know? Like, what's the point of putting this up on YouTube? It's just a bunch of random shit, and it's not structured, and blah, blah, blah. And it's a whole hour, no one has the attention span to watch it. First of all, it shouldn't matter, especially because this is more, the whole intention here is therapy for myself. But also, it's kind of not true, actually. Like, lots of people watch. Alright, so, interestingly enough, my recording software randomly cut me off because I hit the 1 hour mark. I never even knew that there was a time limit on this software because I never made this long of a video. I think I probably did, but maybe I don't remember. I don't know. So you know what? I'm going to cut it off here. But the fact is, I want to make videos that are transparent and open, and I just want to talk about what I want to talk about. And, you know, a lot of that involves my herb reviews, and I love answering questions for people. Pretty much everything I've been doing, I'm going to do more of. But I'm just going to be more open, and I'm going to be less attached. I'm going to let go of the resistance, I guess. I'm going to just like make videos I want to make. I'm going to probably change my channel name to something more general. Probably just my name, Wolfgang Lozana. You know, and I was kind of like, oh shit, like, I can't just have a generic name. If I just put my regular legal name, you know, like, I'm not going to get any subscribers. Oh no, like this. Ever since I started getting more subscribers, I've been like, oh shit, I better like, you know, like, everything's got to be perfect now. But then again, let's look at the reality. I look at other people's channels. All of the, like, there's so many people, you know, that I watch and never even thought about. They don't use a special channel name, you know? Like, they just have, their channel name is just their own name. And they have enough subscribers and they're good. I mean, think about it. Paul Soladino, MD. Sean Baker, MD. Alan Thrall. Who's another one? Alex and Carey. You know, he's like a fitness YouTuber. There's a lot. Like, you don't need to like have a special name or anything. But the problem with like Coach Wolfgang VL is that, sure, as, you know, a profession, I'm a strength coach and a, you know, personal trainer. But my videos especially that I want to make, and all of my value to people is not just being a strength coach. I don't even really talk much about strength coach stuff on YouTube, so I don't know why I have that. I talk a lot more about health science, herbs, my experiences with them, and I want to talk about psychology. I want to talk about philosophy, my ideas. I want to talk about all these things. I want to talk about how to, you know, live optimally. You know, and self-improvement shit. I know I've made videos where I talk about how self-improvement is a waste of time a lot of times. But you know what? Like, it just depends on what you mean by self-improvement, how you go about it, and, you know, I don't know. I go through phases, I guess, but I'll make more videos clarifying that. I just want to get my ideas out there. I want to expand my ideas. And, I'm just tired of all of this rigidity. You know, and that's actually a fundamental part of, you know, of Chinese medicine, but just like being healthy, that I used to believe in and it helped me a lot. But then I just kind of forgot about. Rigidity is a huge thing, you know, and a lot of the suffering that we have in life is caused by, number one, like attachment to an idea, or, you know, resistance, or rigidity. That's pretty much all the same thing. Only rigidity and resistance, those are like big thing here. And it's like, oh, I'm trying really hard to just like fit this mold and to like, you know, stay professional and whatever, you know. And it's like, oh, it's actually, it's causing stagnation in Chinese medicine. And it's all very accurate. Oh, but it's not scientifically accurate. I'm woo-woo stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. If it works, if it's beneficial, then so be it. Rigidity needs to be removed. That's a whole topic I should start talking about, actually. Make a whole video on that, rigidity. But I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being rigid. I'm tired of trying so hard to fit a mold. And I haven't made a video like this in a long time. But when I first started on YouTube, I used to make videos like this, you know, but then I was like, oh, I gotta just like stick to the things people subscribe to me for. So I think that my content moving forward is going to be a lot better, and who knows, maybe I won't make any content, but I think I will. I don't even know what the fuck, man, but all I know is at this current time, that's a huge problem I've been dealing with. It's rigidity. Rigidity is a real issue, you know, and that ties back in the law of attraction thing where people are like, oh, I must think positive all the time. And I think it's the rigidity that's creating it. The rigidity is creating your feelings of negativity. And instead you need to be in a state of allowing, letting go of resistance, but obviously still trying to like move towards your goals and stuff. You gotta remove the rigidity, remove the energy block, and get the energy moving is key. And that's an amazing concept from Chinese medicine that can apply to all different parts of life. So I'm gonna probably make a whole nother video about this. Let me know in the comments if you like this content, and I'll talk to you all next time.